So I watched so-called Wonder Wheel, which apparently is really a wheel in Coney Island. Um, I didn't know they had individual names, but there we go. So yeah, it has nothing to do with the wheel though. It's barely seen at all. Well, it is seen in the background, but one of those movies where the title doesn't quite indicate anything as to the content of the movie really. So yeah, it's one of the latter movies of Alan. I've mostly watched earlier movies of his, like what's that one called? I think one was called Manhattan. I watched and another one was a name. I forgot the name now. Name of a female, and yes. So anyway, yeah, and no, those are um, uh, much more highly regarded, it seems, by most people. They are different, though. Yeah. So I mean, I could sort of notice even if his name didn't come up there. I could notice, that it's sort of him. I mean, he writes, I think, most of his movies, so um, could sort of notice because it's always some sort of monologue. The difference being that there wasn't much comedy in this one, whereas the others were more of a comedic bent. No, this one was just plain drama. Now, of course, the problem is, and I think this is what people would have thought as well back then, I suppose, when it was first released. I, of course, never watch movies as soon as they're released. I don't know why, but I just don't. Well, primarily because I don't go to the cinema. So, anyway, yeah, there was drama, but there wasn't much point to it. Now, was there? I mean, I don't know what the point is, and I'm sure you could say, you know, the ending, being ambiguous. Um, but then again, ambiguity has a certain interesting aspect to it. It's not generally so, a movie isn't made better whether, it goes in one direction or another, it confirms one thing or another. Really isn't, as far as I know, really. And this didn't. This is as ambiguous as can be. And you know, there are references to violence and such, but on screen there isn't any violence, which I think is much better than actually having violence on screen. Like Scorsese's does. I think they're the same age aren't they? I think they're both quite old. So one of these things. I don't know what was the point of it though. So yeah, Winslet's character was depressed. She wanted to only play the act. Yeah, wanted to only act as a waitress, not actually be a waitress. As if somehow there's a difference. Um, and yeah, it's. I'm not entirely sure. I mean, they were obviously referencing a lot of other plays and playwrights, which incidentally I haven't seen also, so I don't know if I'm missing something. They did make a lot of references. Um, I was really only familiar with uh, the Greek side of what they were referring to, or maybe the yeah. I don't know. I mean, obviously, a movie doesn't need to be doesn't if it relies so extensively on references to be understood, then it's not really. But no, this is self-contained story still. The point though is still what is the point. That's the point is what is the point. Yeah. Obviously, how it looks, I think, is the best aspect of it. He really played with the sun there. A bit too much, though, maybe. I mean, in some instances, it looked artificial. Like, sometimes it seemed like it was the night, and yet somehow at best, at least, the entire film, almost pretty much the entire film, it looked like the sun was about to go down, and when there's that special sort of light, just before it goes down, but you know, it only lasts like 5 minutes or something. So, and whereas, in this movie it seemed to last forever. But even then, I mean, sometimes it did seem like it was nighttime outside, and somehow the sun was only just going down on their faces specifically. So it looked nice, but artificial at the same time, and yet I sort of don't mind because it looks nice. I don't know. I mean, obviously it was referenced at one point. What he said there at one point. The sun. What did he say again? Light, rain light something. Light of rain. Anyway, obviously, the ending hinges on this second decision Winslet character is made. But of course, yes, then again, it doesn't really end anywhere. Belushi's character is quite pathetic as well, I think. How he begs her at the end to stay with him. She did say, that he was physically violent, but it never happened on screen. And even when he did drink a bit at the end there, he seems to quickly revert to being pathetic, which I think I suppose is better than the alternative. Otherwise, though, still not sure what the point is. I mean, I don't know. What was the point of, like other movies that I mentioned in the past? I haven't exactly seen a lot of his movies, but I've seen a couple at least. I can remember probably a few more that I cannot. And I don't know, those couple that I remember at least. I think the point was the comedy, isn't this sarcastic sense of humor, I suppose, as well. I didn't quite detect that in this one. Mm. And the aspect around breaking the fourth wall didn't work very well. I mean, sometimes it works, but when it's just Justin Timberlake looking behind the screen and then acting, a few seconds later, looks artificial. I don't know. Sometimes it works. But obviously this wasn't even meant to be um, comedic or anything. Whereas, I don't know, for example, I'm not sure why this is coming to mind right now, because it's not really very relevant or related or even the same genre or anything to do with anything. In Slam Dunk though, and they also break the fourth wall to essentially teach the audience about certain rules, and I found that really cool. I thought it was also made to be funny. Obviously, this isn't comedy, but yeah, in that case, it was funny and helpful. So it happens to be the first basketball anime. What anyway? Yeah. So it's I don't know what the point is, honestly. When it comes to Wonder Wheel, he never actually went on the wheel, so that's another thing, about the point not being there. It was just in the background. It's like doing a movie and then calling it Clouds just because they were in the background. You know, maybe I could have called it Lights because lights changed so much. And honestly, that is something I liked. But other than that, I mean, yeah, it's a tale. I think this is sort of similar to Alan's life itself because I think he does do this sort of thing, go with multiple people, form relationships with multiple. Think, yeah, his children have some problems with him as well. So I don't know, maybe he's just reflecting his life and he just wants to go back to his childhood though, considering the timepieces of the movies usually. So yeah, it's a bit strange, isn't it? It also seemed to me a bit difficult to get chronologically, as in, well, the earlier a movie is set, usually, the slightly more difficult it is to recreate the period, really, because it's and this is nearly now. I mean, if it's set in the 50s, then it's even then it's nearly 70 years when it was made. Um, but it's a bit confusing because at one point the child says that they want to go watch a movie from the 30s and they call it new, so I'm not entirely sure if it's the 50s or 30s. Synopsis says 50s, so. So, yeah, and of course there is, though, it is difficult to recreate, and as such, there are indeed anachronistic problems as found, but yeah, ultimately, apparently the most glaring one is the Chinese garden, apparently, because it plays quite a role in the movie. She mentions it by name. It's shown at least twice, and it's obviously there to make the audience. Yeah, yeah, just it is obviously quite a sight. But apparently didn't exist until '99, so not quite exactly the most historically accurate movie, is it? No, I'm expecting a documentary, but yeah. Otherwise, yeah, it's mostly the lights that are interesting. As he said himself, though, he did model it after this wheel, and wheel just go up and down in a circle, and you never get anywhere. But then again, I'm not very sure why he wanted to make a movie where it doesn't get anywhere. So yeah, it ends with the status quo. But ultimately, what is a movie? So yeah, you get some nice lights, some beach, some Chinese garden for some reason. But the point is, I mean, you might as well just film the views and exclude all the unnecessary drama. Because, it's just, I mean, sure, you could say, oh, the lights reflect on their faces and such. It makes ultimately, it doesn't really go anywhere. And ultimately, yeah, just the cinematography mostly.